Okay, let's start. Okay, welcome everyone. So for Cecil, who is a visitor with us today, this is basically just a forum where small businesses can share their stories and for others to learn and gain a bit of inspiration. And then twice a month, we invite small businesses to come and share their problems with us. And then the group hopefully can resolve those issues while we're on the call. So last week we had Alan Requeza from 7 Spinner Projects, and he shared with us his business problems. And I'm glad to say that he's busy absorbing all the advice we gave him, and we'll invite him back in a few months to see how he's progressing. So today's agenda is about I Love Boobies. And for those ladies who are on the call who expressed shock and surprise in the email message that just said I Love Boobies, my apologies, maybe I should have been a little bit more clearer. So we're going to talk about I Love Boobies. We're going to have some questions and answers for Cecil, and then we'll wrap up. So in line with October being the Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we're going to find out a little bit more about breast cancer. And to tell us a little bit more today is a chap by the name of Cecil Munch. Now, Cecil is a director and trustee of the I Love Boobies nonprofit organization. And I'm not going to steal his thunder. I'm going to let him tell us all about I Love Boobies, which is my very first question. So Cecil, what exactly is I Love Boobies?
I Love Boobies is a registered charity. It's a non-profit, and its sole purpose is to provide breast screenings to women in communities who have less economic and social choices than most. So it's predominantly rural women. So we just provide the breast screenings, and yeah.
Okay. So what's your involvement with I Love Boobies and why? I mean, why specifically this charity?
Yeah, I think about 4 years ago, we're doing, in collaboration with some friends, we did a fundraiser for cancer in general. And we got involved with cancer. We had dialogue with them. And I think as the narrative progressed, we felt that the most probably pressing and the most important facet of cancer facing South Africans that we could identify at that time was female breast cancer. And the numbers are quite startling. 1 in 8 women will develop invasive breast cancer in her lifetime.
1 in 8.
And invasive,
yeah.
1 in 8, yeah. So invasive, let me just give you the definition of invasive cancer. It means that the cancer cells have broken out of the lobule where they began, and they have the potential to spread into the lymph nodes, and she can become metastatic. In other words, other organs in her body can become cancerous from that. So the number is really high. So we thought that is really really an important aspect of cancer in general. Then the folk that have the least access to clinical screenings would be the rural ladies. They have complicated lives in their own environments. They are remote from often remote from screening and medical facilities, and they often have challenges within their own budget. So if they have family money, do they spend it on their children or their own health? And being mums, they often choose children and their families, if there's a contest around that money. So in conjunction with cancer, the Cancer Association of South Africa, we identify groups of ladies. We get them together in certain time, space, and we take nurses to them, and then we provide the screenings for those ladies in batches as and how we can afford it.
Okay.
So that's, yeah.
All right, so you sort of answered half of my next question, but my next question, without being facetious or anything like it, why should we worry about breast cancer? I mean, we have HIV, we've got COVID, we've got dire poverty, we've got a multitude of problems, but why specifically breast cancer? How dangerous is it?
Well, if it becomes invasive, you have to attend to it. You can't leave it. It will never cure itself. So it becomes, it often becomes lethal if it's not treated properly. The best thing to do is to actually catch it early in its in its phase of the disease. And if it's caught early, if we have the early detection, we are able to treat it early and arrest that cancer. So the 1 in 8 is a high number. It's not as high as some other issues that face the South African public. But we've got to choose something. And as a charity, we decided to narrow the focus to something that we can deal with, that we can understand and deal with properly. And if we can do one thing right, we decided this is the thing we're going to do right. It's the most common form of cancer for women, and it's the leading cause of cancerous death amongst women. So yeah, so that's our chosen charity, and we're very passionate about it.
Okay. So when I was doing a bit of research, I found that you actually do have instances of breast cancer among men as well.
Yeah, the frequency is 1 in 80 or 1 in 81 roughly. So again, it's a case of focus. In the early days of the charity, we relied a lot on donations, and we found out quite quickly that people develop donor fatigue really easily. So we thought, okay, let's not rely on that alone, because that is hard work. Going around again to your friends and family, your colleagues, your businesses, and asking for money is extremely stressful, I find.
Yeah.
So we thought, okay, what we'll do is we'll enterprise the charity. So we developed a range of socks first, and then we expanded that to a range of other merchandise to be able to sell it. So the quality of the merchandise is the same as you would get in a shop. It's made by which I think are the best manufacturers within our region, at least. So we make active wear, t-shirts, running shirts, cycling shirts, socks, buffs. Yeah, that's it at the moment. And we sell those, and all the profits after the cost of the stock. And we have half an employee. The rest, everybody else works, donates their time and energy and expertise into the charity. And after that, all the money goes through, and we ourselves or our volunteers arrange the screenings, and then we pay the nurses that actually go to do the screenings themselves. So there's an employment issue facet to that as well. I actually can't remember your question. I'm sorry. Oh yes, no, I can't remember it.
No, don't worry. We'll carry on. Okay, so I see you started off by selling the socks. So what is the significance of the socks?
I think that it was the most common article of clothing in the active environment. So an active lifestyle is also an aspect that reduces the vulnerability to cancer as well. So it's the issues are tobacco, alcohol, I suppose excess of those, uses of those, obesity, and being active. So we were active people that are involved with this, and it's the most common article of clothing, and it's the easiest item to have made, and it's the easiest to sell into our client group, I guess. What we do with all the articles of clothing is we make sure that there's an I Love Boobies statement on it, and it's become a brand that people are actually proud to wear. So they know they're buying that article of clothing. They know the profit is going through to breast screenings, and they're proud of that. And the article of clothing's quality is such that they would have bought something like that anyway. So I kind of think that it meets all those criteria, really. The socks, why the socks? Pretty, I don't know. Look, it's what's the easiest to access into a leisure wear range, actually. So that's, yeah.
Okay. But don't you also, for every lady that is screened, don't she also receives a pair of socks?
Yes, that's right. We actually, we make sure that they, that is that there's some form of catering, and we also present you with a pair of socks. So the screening is not just the screening and you're in and out of there. It's also an education process. So the ladies, the nurses will actually go through a whole physical check, and they'll teach them how to self-screen, because that is actually probably the best way to pick up a breast cancer issue. So the ladies will be told to actually be, and I suppose as guys as well, really, we should do the same. You must check yourself, make sure you understand what your breasts look like, and just check for any changes. If there's any changes in the skin texture or any of the other structure of it in any way, and if there's any lumps, then it's an issue. You must see someone straight away. So the socks are when we give them the socks, say like, this is your reminder. Whenever you have these socks on, please, you must go through the process of self-examination.
Okay. So I know you guys do a lot of screening or whatnot, but is there anything, or how exactly does I Love Boobies help people who have breast cancer?
So we have, our philosophy really is, if we can identify the problem, then we can understand it and it can be dealt with. So I Love Boobies' focus is to get to as many ladies as efficiently and cost effectively as possible, to get the screenings to identify where the issues are. They then, if we have a positive result, or if it's a referral, we register them with Ski. There's a process they go through, and they get another examination. And if that one is also proves positive, they go into a whole mammogram and treatment process. There's palliative care that happens after that. Most of that is taken care of by cancer or by the government itself. So there's actually we keep a care trail of what happens from the lady from when there's a referral right through to when she's taken care of afterwards. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, no, it does. Thank you. So there's actually a whole program where you guys are acting more like a primary healthcare screening facility, and then that leads into other programs which you streamline the process.
Yeah, I think our philosophy is that we can't do everything. So we try and keep the focus to, as I said earlier, what we can manage and what we can achieve. And again, if we can identify the folk that have early symptoms, we can notify everybody that needs to take care of them. And in fact, we actually take that problem and give it to the state and say, here's an issue, or here's a list of folk, you need to deal with them. And I must say that Ski are fantastic with it. They make sure that the ladies get an appointment, and then they go through the process as I've described earlier. Okay, and then if there's long-term palliative care afterwards, cancer is quite a big organization, and they are better at that. I don't even want to get into it from I Love Boobies' perspective. I just want to really focus on the initial screening and identification of the problem.
Okay. So are you just in the Western Cape at the moment, or are there any plans to expand into other provinces?
I Love Boobies has, we have I Love Boobie family, you could call it, and brand ambassadors throughout the world, where, that sounds actually probably more optimistic than it is, but we probably have brand ambassadors in, I'm guessing, 10 countries. Okay. But more so in South Africa. So we have about 125 active brand ambassadors at the moment. But where the screenings take place, mostly in the Western Cape. We have started a process, and I guess we will have our first screenings in Gauteng and in Natal before the end of the year. So, yeah, that's where we are at the moment.
Okay. Let's move the question now to, I saw this I Love Boobies thing for the very first time in the gym, and when Zane was running around, and I noticed your focus on all those on fitness and health, which makes a lot of sense. But why specifically running and cycling?
No specific reason. I think that we were busy with those activities at that time. and we had, I guess those communities were receptive to it, possibly because that's where most of our activity was at that time. But what we do have is we have a lot of walkers. With the whole of last year, we developed a series of runs, which were like park runs, but we did them on a Sunday morning instead of Saturday. And we had communities that we thought they were going to be runs, but they ended up being walks and runs. So we'd have semi-professional athletes coming in and nailing the course. We had a 5 and a 10 kilometer course, nailing it quickly, and they would be competitive with their own times and with each other. And we had a lot of folk that actually came there to walk, and they would walk the 5, 10, and sometimes they'd carry on walking, and for their own purposes. Then we've got in various places some brand ambassadors that do activations, and we've got yoga and Pilates and all sorts of things. So we don't actually care what the activity is. We just say to folk, be active, and I think one of the things that we say about it as well is that we like families to be active, and we encourage the breast health conversations to happen more frequently, specifically amongst women. So we have been into a couple of schools, or the brand ambassadors that we have that are teacher oriented have done some programs in the schools last year amongst the older girls, to try to teach them about it and to make them aware and make them have those conversations with their mothers and the older ladies in their families and so on. So I don't know why running and cycling. It's just that it's easy for us because we do it, but it's not limited to that. It's limited to, it's not limited to anything. It's however you're active and however that activity is actually going to benefit your health, we encourage that.
Okay, no, that makes a lot of sense.
And it looks cool. I'm looking at those pictures you got up there. They look very cool. Yeah,
no, I bought a pair as well. I'm going to wear them tomorrow. So there's a virtual run tomorrow morning, on the 10th of October. So it's on Facebook, so everybody can go and have a look at that. But Cecil, how can we, the public, get more involved? You mentioned that you get donor fatigue, and that, makes a lot of sense. I also get tired of people banging on my door every weekend.
Yeah, I don't think for us, it's not just, we don't think it's sustainable. All of us that work at ILOVEBOOBIES have other jobs. So this is really our charity, but we're very passionate about it, and we spend a lot of time on it. So developing this model that we are using at the moment takes a lot of policy development. So everything we want to do, we debate it, and often really robustly, and it has a good outcome. So we kind of set with this thing that we can't, if we want to be sustainable and reliable with regards to screening in rural areas, are very focused. Then we can't rely on something that will evaporate as easily as donations. You can easily read on the internet about charities that have relied on donations and how difficult they are experiencing this year, and with funds to be able to sustain themselves as well as actually execute their charity. So, and we've actually done better this year than we did last year. Once we got through the April-May apocalyptic kind of scenario that everybody thought we were in, everybody sort of settled on and said, okay, so our cost structure is very low. We only do online shopping. So it's all online, and we use couriers, and we have a very technologically integrated system. So you order online, then your order and your address and everything prints out on a label. The folk that actually have to pack it, pick up the label, pick the stock off the shelf, put it on. So it's a very quick process. So everything goes, because we don't have time actually to waste. We spend a lot of time looking at the efficiencies of how we can do this thing with as little time and as little input as possible.
Yeah, sure. So, but again, come back to the question then, how could, I mean, Dana's asked a question where she's made a comment that she would love to be involved. How do we contribute to this NGO?
So I think the best thing to do is to actually start at the website. If you go to www.iloveboobies.co.za, at the moment we have the run, which is tomorrow. So it's a free run, but we have a merchandising option with it as well. So if you enter the run, you can choose a few things if you want, and that's how we actually are going to getting income out of the run. We've got about 7,500 people, I think, that have registered to run tomorrow. So basically, if you get involved in the activities sort of spread the enthusiasm and get other people involved as well. And the more people that are involved, the more people that want to look cool in the kit, the better. What we also do is that when we do have screenings, the folks that are brand ambassadors or that are enthusiasts are welcome to go to the screenings. There's nothing you can do in the screening itself because that's really run by medical people, but it's actually quite an amazing thing to witness. If there is a positive identification, you see the sisterhood kick into gear, and it's been quite an amazing experience for me to actually see how the women group together, how they support each other, and how they deal with the issue. They'll often when they'll say, "Oh, where do you live? Can I help you?" And there will be some kind of social fabric that engages at that point. So we do have brand ambassadors that go out and actually go and assist there because there's always something to do there. And I guess to stay involved in the community, in the Facebook community, in the Instagram communities, post about it, make the brand more famous in a way that people will go back to the shop, purchase the merchandise, and then it'll actually help the money drift through to the ladies in the rural areas.
Okay. Oh, okay.
But we have we have a brand ambassador application form. So if you think about it a bit and look, read as much as you can. If you want, Richard can give you my phone number. And if you want to, you can become a brand ambassador and just group your friends around you and get that enthusiasm going, and that'll be fantastic.
Cool. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open it up for people to ask you questions. Is there anyone out there who's got questions for Cecil?
It's not a question, but I'm just going to say, if I can actually, help and with my marketing experience to help with the organization on that side, I'll be more than happy. So yeah.
Thank you. I suppose what we should do is outside of this forum, just have a conversation, and I'll learn more about what you can do and so on. And you can ask me more questions.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Cool. Is there anybody else who got? Yes. Sorry.
Yeah. The method of screening. Have you got a portable radiological unit of sorts, X-ray machine, or how's that initial screening done?
The initial screening is normally a tactile screening, so they will go over the breast. The nurses who have done this for years, they've trained sisters, will go, and it's actually a physical examination of the breast, which is actually quite a large organ. It starts right actually by the collarbone and goes as far as you can see it for both sexes. We also, some of the screening units have a breast light, which is actually a very strong light that actually shines through the breast tissue and illuminates everything. It's the structure of the breast. So we have that as well. I think anything more, the accuracy of the process is actually really high. So, so the cost efficiency of it is actually kind of where we settled at the moment. I think if we, I don't know, I've looked at different screening systems, but I haven't actually proceeded or progressed that thought much more. I have to make it efficient, cost effective, to get, that's the other factor I need to consider.
Because that equipment is quite pricey, and one doesn't want that to fall into the wrong hands.
And also you need to make it available, so these a mammogram itself, I think will cost you, between 1,000 and 2,000 Rand a person. Now we have to get through 100 or 150 ladies in a day. It's just it's not practical. But
No,
I mean, something that's an extreme piece of medical equipment. There must be other versions of it which are not quite so sophisticated, which will actually do the job also, quickly. But the breast screening procedure is probably, less than 15 minutes for sure. It's between 10 and 15 minutes per lady. So yeah.
Oh, so it's actually quite a long day, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have two. Often the setup is normally two nurses. We have a reception area where we collect some medical data, and just the ladies can sit and socialize a bit and so on. So we get through 100 to 100. 100 is a good number to do in a day, honestly. Because it's the ladies get tired as well, the nurses and so on.
Cool. Anybody else have any other questions for Cecil? No questions. Okay. All right. So what I've done here, Cecil, is I put your email address on the screen as well.
Yeah.
So anybody who got questions for Cecil afterwards or want to have a individual conversation with him, just email him there. Then you can just respond with your cell phone number, and people can talk to you directly about how they would like to get involved or not. Have you any other questions? Then by all means, please just drop myself or Lelani an email. And I'm hoping, hang on, wait, we've got another question here.
We'll all be running tomorrow, I see.
Yeah.
If you go to ILOVEBOOBIES.co.za, you'll land on the run page, and you can just, it's self-descriptive from there.
Yeah, I'll be wearing my socks tomorrow. Lon's got a nice T-shirt from you guys. So.
Oh.
I guess. So I'm hoping the weather will be good tomorrow and Sunday, and not too cold, not too rainy. But other than that, I hope you guys really enjoy your weekend. And Cecil, thank you for illuminating us a subject that we hear about. We actually never really pay much attention, but definitely got my attention now.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity, Richard. I appreciate it.
Okay,
very well put, Cecil. Very well put.
Oh, thank you.
The story just flows, so I guess that's why the questions were few, but really, I like the approach. I think the branding and merchandise to support, great source of revenue. And then also, the handouts from government, which you know more about than we do. But
to be honest, to date, we haven't received anything from government. So I just don't know. I don't even know how to start the process, who to contact. So I guess, I mean, my partners are going to nail me for this, but I should get on it. Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah, maybe the lotto. Register with them.
It's, for us, it's a case of resources. I don't have anybody to deal with that right now. So it's,
Okay, well, let's have a conversation later.
If anybody knows the state system and how to actually access that, that's a conversation I'd really welcome.
Cool. Okay.
I know they've got money, and I know they're often looking for places to spend it, but we just haven't really got there. It's just a matter of priorities and time, actually, and stretching the resources. So we're trying to get I needed to enterprise the system up properly so that money will flow consistently in some way. And we spend time on making sure the brand is solid, and we make sure that the screenings happen, on a monthly basis, so that we don't ever, as far as we're concerned and our organization, so we don't get behind with that.
Yeah.
So I suppose government's next, so that'll be great if anybody can help us with that. It'd be nice.
Okay. All right, I'll give you a shout probably on the weekend. I do have one or two contacts in that area, and maybe I can put you guys together.
That'd be fantastic.
Cecil, do you want to drop your cell number? Or will I guess I can do it by emailing you. Yeah.
Yes, you can. I'll just reply to the email. It'll be great.
Okay. My wife is involved in the radiological world, so I want to put some of this to her and see what their practice, can offer by way of direction for you guys. So I'll also come back to you. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
They're Johannesburg based, Park Lane Hospital. and
Okay.
yeah, quite advanced in some of the breast techniques like cryonology, which is, or cryojet, forget, I can't pronounce it, but it's really to ice up the nodule in the breast and
Yeah.
extract it surgically through that process. They're
Yeah.
pioneering that, and they've got American accreditation. But to get to the grassroots of your needs, I'd like to see what pointers they can offer.
Yes, and she will know people that can help as
Yeah,
well. So that's
yeah.
having the conversations are great.
Great.
Okay, wonderful. Any other comments for Cecil? Nothing. Okay. All right.
My wife and son were very quizzical as to the I Love Boobies talk. So the injection
Yeah.
of the humor in the payoff line of the brand is just brilliant,
Yeah.
because they were
It's,
wondering why I was so enthusiastic about joining.
look, then
So well done there.
Yeah, on that note, guys, I hope you really have a great weekend. Guys, thank you so much. I hope you have a great weekend. So we're going to wrap this up
Thanks,
now.
Rich.
Guys, thanks. And we'll chat again next week. I'll let you know what's happening and who we've got for next week.